2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yo, what's going on? Hey, today we're looking at 10-1 day 2. Alright, and we're gonna make calculator work of all this literally. Okay. So let's go ahead and dig right in. This first blank right here says measures of variations are values that describe the spread, alright, of a data set. Alright. The range is the maximum minus the minimum. Alright, so for this example right here, if I needed to find the range, I would go the maximum minus the minimum. Alright, will give me 13. 13 is the range. Okay. Next right here, we have what's called the variance. The variance is the average of the squared differences from the mean. Alright, so it is denoted by sigma squared. Alright, sigma squared. And look, doing it by hand, it's not complicated, in my opinion. Look, y'all remember X bar? X bar in this case is 10. Alright, so what you do is you take your value, alright, help me erase all this so there's no confusion. Take your value and you're going to subtract the average. So here, I already found the average for you. The average is 10. So I will take my value 14. 14 minus 10 is 4. And then I just square it. All right, 4 squared is 16. All right, then I'll continue with every data point in this set. So you go 13. 13 minus 10 is 3. 3 squared is 9. All right. Then you would do the next value, which is 16. 16 minus 10 is 6. 6 squared is 36. Alright, 6 squared. Alright, and you would continue this process like so. Alright, so it would all look like this. Alright, again, these same values, all these values come from right here. Alright, I just went down the list. Alright, from 14 to 4. Alright, 14 to 4. Alright, y'all see? Then do that. Once you get the answer, square all the answers. Alright, and those are these values, okay? Now, it says sum of all these divided by the number of data values. So if I add up all these values right here, let me show you. If I add up 9, 36, 1, 49, 9, 1, 4, 1, and 36. If I add all those up, because it says the sum of all these, alright, I get 162. Alright, now if I divide that by 10, which is the number of items in this set, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, or there's 10 items right here. Divide by 10, not the average, but 10 because there's 10 items in the set. Alright, I get 16.2. Alright, now 16.2, I use that to find what's called the standard deviation. Alright, the standard deviation. The standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Well, 16.2 is the variance. Alright, if I take the square root of the variance, then that'll give me the standard deviation. Alright, the standard deviation of 4.02. Okay, that's the standard deviation right here. This is the variance. This is the standard deviation. Okay, now, in a nutshell, alright, in a nutshell, all this can be done in your calculator, okay? I showed you how to do it by hand. Check it out. Now I'm going to show you how to do it with your calculator, alright? So let me introduce you to calculator work, okay? Step 1, man. Step 1. It says, in the graphing calculator, alright, stat, edit, type all the data into list 1. Alright, so this is not what we're using, guys. Again, we're going to use this list right here. Alright, this list right here. So put this in your calculator. I got that, this in your calculator. Alright, this right here is just a continuation of that. So you should look like so. Let me show you. You would go stat, then edit. All right, enter on edit. Now put all those points in here. So you have, here, let me clear this list out first. All right, so you have 14, 13, 16, 9, 3, 7, 11, 12, 11, and 4. All right, there were 10 items in that list. All right, make sure this is 10. This tells me that this is the 10th item. That's the first one. All right, this is the 10th item. Oh, and by the way, that should not be 13. That should be 14. I messed up right there. So 14, 13, 16, 9, 3, 7, 11, 12, 11, 4. Here are the items from that list. Now, the second step tells me that I need to stat edit, put the stuff in your list. Now, you want to go stat again, go over the calculations, and you want one variance statistic. All right, so we're going to go stat again, go over to calculate, and go down. Or no, we don't need to go down. It's actually the first item, one variance statistics. All right, hit enter. Make sure it says list 1. Some of you guys won't even see this. Just hit enter again. All right, if you do see this right here, hit enter on calculate. And here's all your data. Okay, here's all your data. Now let me show you what everything means. This right here is your X bar. X bar is our mean, all right, or our average. Right here, this is sigma. This will be sigma. All right, so you guys saw we just calculated that. Remember I told you X bar, I told you 10 was your average. Then I told you sigma was 4.02, which we found by hand, all right, using those points. And right here is the number of items that you have, right? There's 10 items in that list, all right? Now, remember Friday how we did those 5 important values? If you scroll down, all right, and you want to make a box and whisker plot, here's all the data you need for the box and whisker plot. Here's your minimum, your maximum, your quartic, your first quartic, your second quartic, your third quartic, and your median. You can make a box and whisker plot right there off these 5 items. All right, they're literally right there. All right, so let's go ahead and look at the next example. There's a U-try, guys, on the notes. All right, here's your data set. Okay, it says using the calculator find the mean, which is X bar. All right, and find your standard deviation, which is sigma. All right, mean, standard deviation. All right, so go ahead and enter this in your calculator like so. So here are all your points, all right, from that problem in your calculator, okay? Now what you're going to do is you're going to press stat. Again, go over to calculate, and you want one variance statistic, that first one. Hit enter, enter again, and boom, here we go. All right, X bar. X bar is our mean, 1.4, and 1.62 is our sigma right here, 1.62 sigma. That's our standard deviation, okay? So, mean, hold on, let's change pens. All right, our mean is 1.4, and our standard deviation equals 1.62, okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about is an outlier. All right, an outlier is an extreme value that is much less, all right, much less or much greater than the other data values. All right, outliers have a strong effect on the mean and the standard deviation. All right, there are different ways to determine whether the value is an outlier. One way is to look for the data values that are more than, very important here, I'm going to highlight it, 3 standard deviations from the mean. All right, 3 standard deviations from the mean. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this example right here. This example says find the mean and the standard deviation of the heights of 15 cans. All right, identify the outlier and describe how they affect the mean and the standard deviation. So here's our 15 cans, the heights of our 15 cans. All right, put all these in one list. All right, all these are going to go in list 1, okay? So go ahead and put those in list 1 like this. All right, so again, you got 15 cans, right? So here's all the heights of all 15 cans in list 1. All of them go in list 1. All right, again, I know that list, you're thinking, oh, I put it in 3 different lists. No, put it all in list 1. All right, like so. And then we're going to do the same thing we've been doing, stat, calculate. All right, option 1 right there, first variance statistics. All right, wait a minute, I made a mistake somewhere. Y'all see that? See how those values are? All right, that's why you got to check yourself. All right, so that was intentional. Here's where the mistake is. All right, 92.9. All right, should be the correct value. All right. All right, now check yourself again. Stat, calculate. All right, that looks a lot better. Okay. Our mean. All right, our first answer says, our first question says, what is the mean? All right, well, we have 92.77. All right, that's our mean. X bar. All right, now our standard deviation. 0.19. All right, always go 2 decimal places on these guys. All right, 0.19. Now, a thing I want to point out to you guys is this. Y'all see how we got to find 3 standard deviations less than the mean and 3 standard deviations more than the mean? Well, let's address the 3 standard deviations part. Think about it. If this is 1 standard deviation, this is the standard deviation, 1 standard deviation. All right, if I want to find 3 standard deviations, I'm going to do 3 times the standard deviation. So to find 3 standard deviations, I'm going to go 3 times 0.19. All right, and that's going to give me 0.57. So this is 3 standard deviations, okay? Now, to be specific, the question says 3 standard deviations, which is 0.57, less than the mean. Well, here's the mean. So if I went 92.77 minus the standard deviation, right, I'll get, let's see here, 92.2, right? And then on this one here, it says 3 standard deviations more than, right? So that's 92.77 plus 0.57, right? And I'll get 93.34. All right, so this is 3 standard deviations less than the mean. This is 3 standard deviations more than the mean. Less than, more than. All right, this is 3 standard deviations, 3 times sigma. All right, 3 standard deviations. Okay, so now that I know what my values are, my range of my deviation, all right, I can go here and answer this question. So any can heights less than, let's cross that out. We said 92.2. All right. Oops, I'm sorry, guys. I just realized I made a mistake over here. That should be 92.2. I don't know why I wrote 9, but 92.2. All right, so you should have 92.2 and any can height that is more than 93.34. And again, these are exact values if we didn't round. All right, but we rounded to 2 decimal places. So I'm going to use the values we have, 92.2 and 93.34. Okay, so any can heights less than this or more than this, they're outliers. So look at this data set. All right, is there any number up here that is less than this or more than this? There is. All right, there is. This value right here, 92.1 is less than 92.2. So that makes this one right here an outlier. All right. That's an outlier, okay? Now the next question says, how does this outlier affect the standard deviation? Well, let's look at with the outlier. All right, remember the mean with the outlier is going to be, what was it, 92.77? And what was the standard deviation with the outlier? 0.19. All right, now I want to look at what this information will be without the outlier. All right, so let me go back to our calculator. If I go back to our calculator and press stat and edit, and then I go to where the outlier is, we said it was 90, I believe it was 91 point something. Oh no, 92.1. Here it goes right here. That's the outlier, right? If I delete that, see I hit delete right here, it's gone. All right, now I'm going to press stat again and recalculate everything. What is our new mean? Our new mean is going to be 92.82. All right, again, I go 2 decimal places on everything. And our new sigma is 0.08. That's 7 rounds, that's 7 to 8, 2 decimal places. So 0.08. All right, so let me go back here and plug it in. The new information. The new mean was 92.82, and the new deviation was 0.08. All right, so that's how that outlier affected. Those are the differences, okay? So there's a U try right here. All right, let's go ahead and try it real quick. Go ahead and plug that into your data set. All right, when you plug that in, you're going to get these values right here. Your X bar should be 5.36. Your sigma is 4.32. All right. And then remember, our deviation is 3 times sigma. All right. So our deviation, 3 times our deviation would be 3 times 4.32, and that'll give us 12.96. So now, let's find our range of our outliers. Well, if we go our mean, 5.36 minus 3 times our standard deviation, and if we go our mean plus 3 times our standard deviation. All right. So that's our range for our standard, our 3 times our standard deviation. So now, are there any values in this set that is either less than this or greater than this? There is. 19. The ones of 19 is an outlier. All right, there's our outlier. Now, the last part of the question says, identify any outliers and describe how they affect the mean and the standard deviation. Cool, we can do that. All right, first we're going to do what our information is with everything in place. All right, with everything including the outliers. So remember the X bar was 5.36 and the sigma was, our standard deviation was 4.32. Now let's look at without our standard deviation, or without our outlier. Not standard deviation, but without our outlier. If I go back to the calculator and delete 19, delete this score right here, and recalculate everything, you're going to get an X bar of 4.31, and you're going to get a sigma or a standard deviation of 2.16, okay? That's it, man. That concludes this lesson. Hey, remember, if you like the video and it's helpful, all right, make sure you give me a thumbs up on the video, okay? If you didn't like it, put thumbs down, all right? And then give me a comment. Tell me what I did wrong so I can try to help you out. Also, subscribe so you can get the update. It'll come straight to your phone, guys, all right? Well, glad I could help, and good luck on this lesson. Oh, one more thing. Don't forget, Unit 10. Same challenges up for grab. You get a perfect 100 on the Unit 10 assessment. I have something for you. Bring me your test. All right. Peace.